Hi, I'm Bainbridge, part of the Ozone R&D team and passionate foil kite flyer. In this video, I'm going to explain why I think foil kites are so good, especially for big air, twin tipping, light wind freeride. They really are the whole package and have become much more user-friendly in recent years. In March 2025, we replaced the Chrono with the all-new model, the Mach1. This incorporates all of our race kite knowledge from the R1 V4, but made so much more efficient and so much more user-friendly so that it can now be used for freeride. We now offer 3 foil kite models in our range. The Hyperlink, this is our most accessible foil kite, which can be used for snow kiting, your first foil kite rides. It's your all-rounder. Next up the performance ladder is the Mach1. And finally, it's the power racing machine, the R1. If you have any questions on whether the foil kite is right for you, I'm really hoping this video explains everything.
There's so many venues around the world where we talk to people and they go, oh, it's just, it's always 8 to 12 knots. I can't get on the water. And that's where the foil kites really come into their own is, a tube kite struggle to fly in 8 to 12 knots, and if you need to be getting into foil kites for that kind of reason early, the Hyperlink is where you want to be going. If you're already proficient at kite surfing and you're looking to really push that further, then the Mach1 is a great option. You get on it as a first-time foil kite user and it's phenomenal. It's super easy to use, it feels like your tube kite, you run it on your tube kite lines, you can foil on it, you can free ride on it, you can twin tip, anything you want on it. And also we then give it to the snow kite guys and the stuff they can do on it is phenomenal and they feel safe on it. And I think that's the key bit with the Hyperlink that we can't forget. It needs to be able to cope with things that water kites don't have to cope with. I would say that the Mach1 is really aimed at competent kiters who are looking to challenge themselves on new limits. That's where the Mach1, as your first foil kite, sits in over the Hyperlink. I wouldn't recommend it if you're 6 months into your kite surfing career, you've seen some foil kites on the beach, you want to get out in lighter winds. That's where the Hyperlink sits. The smaller sizes are very similar to the Chrono. We kept them the same because the 7 and the 9, obviously you're using those in a pretty high wind range, and so we didn't want to increase the aspect ratio on those. We wanted to maintain the ease of use that we've come to love in the Chrono. The 11 and above, you won't recognise it compared to a Chrono. So it's as easy to use as a Chrono, if not a little bit easier, because we've removed some of the aspects of a Chrono that were hampering us a little bit. So the mesh on the valves, for example, were reducing how quickly the kite would inflate, which was a big concern for people on their first flights of the kite isn't full of air yet. And so that's massively helped us. We've paired them in families, each size, for the different areas that we're looking for. So the 15 and the 18 are your big light wind kites, and they're tuned and developed in that way that they're designed for the light wind. They're super grunty, powerful kites, still providing you big air experience, but they're designed for the light wind. The 11 and the 13 are much more playful. You can now loop them, you can be doing check loops with them, you can be getting some big air on them and some big hang time on them, and they're a bit more playful and easy to use with a bit more of a wind range. And then you jump down to the 7 and 9 where people are going to be using them in much more wind range or light wind foiling and everything else and need that ease and accessibility, and that's where we've paired them into 3 families. So what we really didn't want to do when we were developing the Mach1 is limit our performance of the kite by pigeonholing it into the line lengths that are currently known and well used. So in racing, we're running as short as 10 metre, 10 to 12 metre is our archetypal length, which for a freeride user is not realistic. The kite moves really quickly, you need to be on a foil, it doesn't work on a twin tip, and so we couldn't go to that end. And then equally, when you jump to your 23, 25 metre lines, which you'd use for your normal tube kite setup, suddenly that kite, once you've added 6 metres of bridles, is 30 metres away from you. So equally, we couldn't do that. And so what we made sure we did is sit somewhere that we knew the kite was going to perform. So that's why we recommend on all Mach1 sizes that 17 metres for foiling and looping, if that is the way that you're going to go, and then we include a 4-meter extension pack, which then allows you to be doing the twin tipping side of things as well. So one thing that we're kind of always quite proud of with Ozone is that we try and make sure that all of our spare parts are available at all times, and kind of making sure that you're not just having to forget about your old bar or bin it or anything else. That's something that we're so strongly against. That was definitely not something that we were going to allow to happen. So what we recommend is to have a separate bar, which basically allows you to have a tube kite bar and a foil kite bar. But obviously we know that that is not always financially viable, and we know that foil kites are relatively expensive in comparison to other kites, and so what you can do now is buy a set of 17-meter lines with 4-meter extensions, which will fit 100% on your current bar, and all you have to do is take your current 23-meter lines off, refit it exactly the same way that you took it off, and there you go, you've got your foil kite bar. There's certain features on our foil bar that you won't get on your water kite bar. So you've got the backstool handle, which makes it really easy to backstool the kite into the water, which is available as a spare part, but isn't standard on our normal water kite bars. And so there's certain differences, but it definitely will still work. The water relaunch is really not an issue now. We've got such great internal pressure into the new kites with the new stitching methods, the new materials that we're using, that the kite will maintain air for a lot longer than you think, and the ability to relaunch them. I would prefer to have to relaunch a foil kite than a tube kite. They come up much easier with a lot less effort and in a lot lighter winds. And so if you're going out on your tube kite and you're going, oh, I really need to be careful here because otherwise I'm going to drop this kite and I'm not going to get it back up. And we've all been in that situation where you're trying to do a sea kite relaunch, you're swimming towards your kite, you're swimming back and everything else. And with a foil kite, all of that disappears. Grab the back lines if it's leading edge down, grab the front lines if it's leading edge up, and it is so much simpler. And I think that's the bit that I find hard when people are so against getting into foil kites because they're worried about that water relaunch. And actually, it's so much easier, so much safer, especially in light winds to relaunch a foil kite, especially the new 4-line ones, it's safer. It's safer and easier. The release system is different when you throw in bridles and the way that we connect the front and back lines. It adds another level of complexity. The key bit that you have to remember with foil kites is that the safety isn't compromised. If you pull your safety, the kite will come down. That is just a given that we endeavour to perform at Ozone, is to make sure that you pull that safety, the kite will go onto one line and it will come down and you will be safe. And you just have to read the manual, understand a little bit more. If you're not fully confident, there are so many schools now that are performing dedicated foil kite lessons and foil kite tutorials on how to get set up and how to everything else. And it's never a bad idea to learn from someone who knows what they're doing.